bid you good evening, everyone. I am Bill Worster, aka Zazubar. This is the Demons from Outer Space, episode 106, I think. Oh, I'm actually gonna check this time. I have the internet open. We're in the hundreds. So Dylan, say hi to the people while I'm checking the episode number.
Hey everybody.
Hey everybody. So Dylan, tonight we are here to do an old Demons from Outer Space tradition. We are here to do a barrage of modern, up-to-date science articles, mostly coming from IFL Science, the beloved, sometimes a little clickbaity, science Facebook page and independent website that writes all kinds of articles on the internet about up-to-date science news. It is...
Be considering that we're super late getting around to doing this video.
It's episode 107, by the way. I fucked up pretty bad. So, what are you going to do? But yeah, we're going to do science articles this week. So I just got the Facebook page open, and I'm looking down my saved articles, and I'm just trying to look at what was going on. Well, particularly what exactly I saved earlier and what I saved later, because I want to go down to the bottom of what I saved, most recently, to get the stuff that I saved a long time ago, and get those out of the way first. Because man, it's been a while since we've done this, so I've got a whole lot saved up, and some of the older ones are probably worth talking about. God, I'm still not at the bottom of where we ended off last time. Unless I just don't remember properly. But it has been a while. It's been a couple months. Alright, so screw this. I'm going to go back up to the first one that I saw. Alright, this is one you saved, so we'll start here. Seriously loud sonic shrimp named after prog rockers Pink Floyd.
I saw that.
Yeah.
This should totally be a kaiju, by the way.
So it looks like a weird... It looks like a weird white and gold shrimp, but it has a really bright pink claw. One. Although I can't... Maybe there's a bottom one I can't see. Is that the idea?
I suppose so.
Thank you, Professor.
Although it may be that only the one claw is large and pink. I don't recall.
Some arthropods... That's what they're referred to as, correct? They have that going on. They only have one giant, armament of a claw. They don't have two.
Those listening might recall that Ebera in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster had one rather large lobster-esque claw, and then the other was a little shrimpy pussy claw.
There you go. So, there's my example of that. That my real-life, totally non-fictional example. We could do that in a bibliography, and a college professor would be like, "Oh boy, wow, what a source to cite."
Indeed.
So let's see if we can learn anything about this. Wow, it looks like somebody already had the idea to turn it into a kaiju. Here, I'm gonna send you the link to this because I want you to look at this drawing that's on here.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, they took like a Pink Floyd album cover and put the shrimp in it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Look at it again, though, to refresh yourself. But this is totally the kaiju thing. It's a kaiju analogy of a shrimp. It's on top of a building. It's not destroying it yet, but it looks like it's gonna. It kind of looks like a big toucan, though, in this pose, doesn't it?
Certainly.
But then if you scroll down a little bit, there's a more traditional, like, political cartoon that makes it look like a giant monster, where it's like scaling some buildings. Still not destroying them, but still scaling them in a menacing way. And it's just got one giant pink claw. So yeah, I think this thing has exactly what we were talking about. It's got one giant claw and then one tiny one. It still looks pink, though. At least that's how it's drawn on the cover.
But the reason this thing should be a kaiju comes from its particular abilities, which I'm sure you're about to read about.
All right, so the best thing about this is by Katie Evans, so we'll see what she's like. So the best thing about being a zoologist, aside from actually discovering new species, is getting to name them. Well, this is all about just different things that have been named after shit. There was Iravixia Gryffindori, the spider named after one of the founders of Hogwarts and Harry Potter. Great. There was Neopalpa Donald Trumpia, a blonde, bewigged moth with small genitals. Oh! Now get ready to turn it up to 11 as we meet Scylla... Oh, God. Sinalpheus Pink Floydy. Oh, God.
She failed to mention my two favorite examples of this. The real-life Godzillasaurus and the other dinosaur that was named after Michael Crichton, the name of which I forget.
Crichtonosaurus.
Something Crichtoni.
Crichtonicus. I don't know.
Crichtonicus.
The new conspicuous colored species of pistol shrimp. Wow, these things already have a cool name. Pistol shrimp. They're gonna fucking... Hey, man! You wanna fucking make fun of my pink claw? No, man, I wasn't saying anything. You wanna fucking make fun of my claw? No, man! They're just the fucking, intense, like, bipolar gun pullers of the sea. They don't pull guns, though. They pull their giant claws, and they wave them at smaller shrimp, threaten to impale the motherfuckers.
You're lucky. Do you, punk?
The new I read that part. Where's the cool powers you were talking about? Yeah, I know it's bright pink. I know about the right hand of doom. Oh wow, that's the Hellboy. It's based on like a Hellboy thing, or it's not based on it, but it's sort of analogous to the Hellboy's right hand of doom. He's got his big stone hand. That's funny. We were talking about Hellboy last night, you and me, the new reboot, which is probably going to be good, even though I still wish Hellboy 3 would have gotten made. Anyway, so it's not the most exciting.
Third paragraph.
It's not the most exciting thing about this shrimp. Katie Evans promises us. The shrimp uses its claw to create a sonic blast so loud it stuns its prey. In fact, it's one of the loudest sounds in the ocean. Louder than a gunshot. Oh, is that why it's called a pistol shrimp, or is that just a coincidence?
I'm not sure.
It snaps its claw at such a speed it creates a high-pressure cavitation bubble. When it collapses, produces a sonic blast that can reach 210 decibels, powerful enough to stun and kill its prey. Wow, that's its weapon. That is pretty cool. For a split second, the imploding bubble also generates temperatures of 4,400 degrees Celsius, which is nearly as hot as the surface of the sun. It was the shrimp's pink hue and talent for noise that helped give it its moniker. Yeah, so that's based on Pink Floyd. Wow, that's a cool ability though. So it's kind of similar to things that we've seen done in Godzilla video games. Like Anguirus has a sonic blast in Save the Earth. You remember that?
Yeah, but the interesting thing about it is also the brief heat wave that occurs.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, how does it not die?
What? Well, the heat wave that it generates. First of all, it only happens for like a split second, and also it would be going outward from the shrimp.
Why does it not kill everything? Oh, I guess it would. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. This thing could probably destroy the world if it wanted to. I guess a giant one could. That's the idea, right?
He just snaps his claws and like a bunch of... You just see buildings explode all around it.
Oh my
He's
god.
Fucking metal.
This would be the greatest monster movie that would never get greenlit by an actual studio.
Exactly.
We should fight to get it made, though, because that's going to define our careers. Anyway.
Just like all of our ideas. The greatest monster movies that will never be greenlit by studios.
So, Dylan, I have another article here for you. This one is it hits a little more close to home for us personally. The Great Emu War of 1932 is as weird as it sounds. Now, our particular favorite big ugly birds that don't fly are ostriches, of course. Mine in particular. Dylan, he has a profound respect for their bravery, but he doesn't have the partiality to them that I do. But emus here.
I have hashtag ostracized them in the past.
So we have emus here, though. This article is written by Robin Andrews, who I believe we've talked about before on this show. He's an old favorite, or maybe an old enemy. Maybe he's listened to the show and has been like, these motherfuckers, what they fucking do with my art.
His art.
The world is, for plenty of people right now, facing some very dark times. Yeah, I mean, it's night out right now, so my times are pretty dark right now. You too, right, D?
Definitely, definitely. This whole half of the world right now, pretty dark. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, so
Um,
we already know Robin Andrews is on point. He's woke as fuck. From refugee
but you know what? You know
crises.
what? In a few hours, it'll be lit if I do say so. So
Okay, so then one fine day in April, there was once a genuine war between humans and emus, and life doesn't seem so bad anymore. No, life seems pretty bad, and I wish I lived back then, to be honest. Known as the Great Emu War, this took place in 1932 in the desert nation that we call Australia. Oh, I thought he was going to say, like, Middle Eastern Stan, or whatever. is that
the Eastern State.
is that fucked up? I don't know. If it is, I stand by it.
Is there a big, large bird population in Middle Eastern stand?
Probably Middle Eastern Stan. That's a better name. I like that. That name's a lot less less on the nose. I appreciate the subtlety there. But there were casualties, but despite heavily armed with actual rifles, humans actually lost this fight. What the fuck? What happened here? Meeting at a neutral point in the center of the outback, humans signed
There's a fucking leader of the emus, and he could talk, and he stood out in the front, and he said, "Now, fight like emus!" And then they ran.
There was a night of the fires where he decided that humans and emus would live in peace, but that at the end of the day they would be in charge, the emus. So maybe that's the world we're living in now. Maybe the emus are in charge and we don't really know it. You know, all those reptilian theorists, they're all fucking crazy. We're the fucking ones that are on point about the conspiracies because we know that emus are in charge. You know, our podcasts always get tied in with like all these conspiracy videos because our podcast is called The Demons from Outer Space, and there's all kind of nuts conspiracy people on YouTube who have videos with similar titles that are all about like conspiracy theories and shit. So we're always like, there's like reptilian theorists like shit, like it's in the suggested videos for our podcasts.
Awesome.
Yeah, right? It's perfect. I hope that people looking for those conspiracy videos stumble upon our podcast and find a better road in life, or a worse road. But, it's a more fun one for certainly. And I think that now that we've revealed to those people that the emus are in charge, not the reptilian interdimensional overlords, I think that we've really made a difference in people's lives. So. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to. This guy's not giving me details. After the First World War concluded, soldiers from Australia tended to go back to their early day jobs as farmers. A lack of government support hindered things, and the price of wheat continued to tumble following the Great Depression in 1929. So let's find out what these emus fucking wanted, okay, D?
All right.
So, about 20,000 emus stormed into the region as part of their breeding season activities, finding their waterlogged agricultural lands of Western Australia particularly homely. They rapidly set up shop, stealing as many of the crops as they could, and genuinely caused pandemonium. Agreeing with the ex-soldiers that this emu was a veritable nuisance, the Australian Minister of Defence gave them access to Lewis machine guns and plenty of ammunition, along with some top-brass military guidance from Major G.P.W. Meredith of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery. After an unexpectedly heavy rainfall in October delayed proceedings, the war began in earnest in November of 1932, and it was expected to be an easy victory of humanity. Oh, how wrong they were. Emus are incredibly agile creatures. They took cover in shadowy scrub and behind trees where the soldiers couldn't get a clean shot. A newspaper reported on the war pointed out that the emus soon began to improvise their own understanding of the science of the warfare. Oh shit, this is Planet of the Emu, son. The emus appeared to quickly realize that if they stood just far away enough, the soldiers' Lewis guns were too inaccurate to hit them. Oh, there's more. Hang on. You'd like to find out more, correct? Because I'd like to find out more.
Hey, yeah, this is fucked up.
The guns also kept jamming, and even when they didn't hit an emu, it often did surprisingly little damage. One emu was shot 5 times to no effect, and it only died when a truck ran it down. This is like fucking the walking emus, you know? Like, this is like these zombie fucking emus. One soldier remarked that the only way to kill an emu was to shoot it through the back of the head when its mouth was closed, or through the front of its mouth when it was open. That's how hard it is, he bitterly added. This is a fucking video game, dude. You gotta make a video game based on this fucking war. Just do it like Nazi zombies in Call of Duty, but with fucking emus. Because they're hard to kill. You gotta get cute with it. You could use ray guns and shit. Like, Treyarch, call me. During an ambush attempt, soldiers had surrounded about 1,000 emus, but after just 12 rounds or so were fired, the guns jammed once again and the emus fled. Even chasing after them in the back of vehicles and firing at them on the move proved ineffective. Remember, this is 1932. Just so we all know what kind of vehicles we're in, what kind of guns we're shooting, as the guns were simply not precise enough. Ultimately, with 9,860 bullets fired, just around 1,000 emus were killed, meaning the soldiers had a 1 in 10 hit rate. Which I guess that's not terrible, no?
1 in 10?
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd want to be better than that.
Ideally, but you're fighting birds. Like, I guess, who knew? The emus eventually left the region, but only because they ran out of crops to eat. They didn't even run them out because they were murdering them. The 1 in 10 ratio wasn't even enough to scare them off. Does that make sense to you, or do you think these birds were just fucking stubborn?
They probably should have just gone old school, man. Get some fucking swords, go out there and start chopping off emu heads.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do that. That would have been effective. No, maybe they were too scared. Maybe they were fucking pussies. None of them probably knew how to use a sword. They were ex World War I Australian soldiers, and that's why they were so poor. Yeah. So I guess they probably wouldn't. Would they have known how to use a sword? Did the common Australian soldier in World War I know how to use a fucking sword?
Good question. I don't know the answer to it. But...
We should discover the answer to that later on. We should, as Rorschach would say, must remember to investigate later.
Or if the bullets weren't proving very effective, they could have gone into explosive ordnance.
I don't know why they didn't just fucking burn them.
That too. They could have gone out there with fucking flamethrowers and run the bitches off real quick.
They had flamethrowers in World War I, right? That was a big deal in World War I.
I'm pretty sure they had flamethrowers in World War I. I wasn't around back then, but I would imagine that.
Major Meredith, who was the military commander of the whole deal, he later noted, if we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. Are you for real? This guy's got to be fucking exaggerating. So I'm trying to... If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. What does that mean? So is he saying that if he had a bunch of birds with guns, like, it would be able to wipe out any other military?
I think he's talking about the way that they're able to take fire and keep on going.
So he's saying, like, so they take bullets better than anything they have.
Yeah. I think that's the idea.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Because then afterwards he says they can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks, so I guess that makes sense. Thank you for explaining English to me, Dylan. It's always appreciated. Humans had decisively lost the Great Emu War. Later on, during a discussion in Parliament, an MP asked if anyone should get medals for their valor during the conflict. Yes, another replied, the emus! Ultimately, the Australian government decided to build a very costly wall along the Western Territories to keep them out. Wow, and hire bounty hunters to cull their numbers. Both proved a lot more effective, and in 1934, after just 6 months, over 57,000 emus were killed. Nowadays, the emu is an officially protected species, so who won in the end? That, dear reader, is up to you to decide. Dylan, that is a fucked up story and totally worthy of a video game and /or movie. No.
It seems to me like a huge misallocation of tactics.
Well, I mean, it's a
they're
fucking
using...
stupid idea. What they should have done is just maybe use some decoy crops, poison them or something. I don't know.
But they're using tactics that you use to like fight people against emus. Like, of course, that's going to be a problem, you know.
Well, I also think that they obviously underestimated them, as you would with an animal enemy. You know, like because they adapted to fighting against guns quickly.
Right.
So that's obviously very Planet of the Apes and fucked up and interesting. Let's see what else we have here.
Planet of the Apes, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, man. The potential's there. The potential there is endless. I'd like to see more. I'd like to find out more. I'd like to see a documentary about that at the very least.
That would be interesting.
All right, so let's move on though. We've got plenty more to sink our teeth into here. Let's jump into all right, so this is another one you saved. Watch what happens when an octopus gets in the way of a crab migration. This is a video. You shared this, correct? You remember this?
Yeah. I remember sharing this with you.
Do you want me to resend it to you so you can have another look at it, get a fresh perspective on it?
Yeah, because I definitely don't have that link anymore. That's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. Here you go. All right, it's really short, so I'm just gonna watch it, and then you can watch it yourself and get your thoughts out there. All right, so so far I see. Oh yeah, there's the octopus fighting against two giant crabs. These are spider crabs, correct?
Yeah, it's the ones that you always see, like, you know, making that great migration into Australia.
Right.
Apparently, due to weather patterns, they were doing it at a time when they don't usually.
So this octopus thought it was cool, and then these crabs were like, "It's not cool, man!"
Yeah, the description says Melbourne divers were surprised to see spider crabs migrating to Port Phillip Bay on February 25th, an annual migration that normally occurs from May to July, as ocean water cools. So,
my God, they're just tearing.
Some reason they came a few months early.
This is another movie or video game or something.
Makes me want to see fucking Udako throw down with that giant crab thing from Space Amoeba.
Or the mother. Oh my God! Look, they're just swarming at the diver. This is so. I would shit myself if I was in this situation.
Does your arachnophobia extend to crabs and other?
If they're gigantic like this, sure. I mean, they're the same shit. They're just on the ocean floor.
Yeah. You get weirded out by lobsters and shit.
Not as much because their features aren't as grotesque, but if they're gigantic like that, yeah, not lobster. I'm not scared of lobsters. You fucking psycho. All right. So, do you want to hear about? All right, 13,000-year-old tablet in mysterious temple reveals ancient comet impact. Do you want to learn about this?
Sounds like a good time.
It sounds like a fun time for the kids, right? A research team led by the University of Edinburgh recently finished translating an enigmatic tablet in what could be the world's first temple in modern-day Turkey. Their work suggests that a tablet known as the Vulture Stone, all right, it's got a cool name already, that's good, appears to not only have a date stamp on it, the equivalent of 10,950 BCE, before Common Era or before people who don't believe in Jesus, but it also describes a catastrophic comet swarm taking place at the same time. Scientists have long been fascinated with this period of history, which appears to feature widely fluctuating temperatures, regional extinction events, and even the demise or disappearance of several ancient human tribes. Could this tablet be what the authors refer to as the smoking gun? that confirms a huge impact event that took place then, triggering these events. So what's interesting about this is that this is a period of recorded or somewhat recorded human history when we happen to be around when a massive extinction event that we now acknowledge as part of our history happened, and we have a recording of it, like of when it was going on and the sort of in the moment response to it, which I think is fascinating. This particular temple in Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, sits atop a mountain ridge at least 13,000 years old. The site has been interpreted by experts as being either a sanctuary, a worshipping location for a cult of the dead. See, again, man, fucking movie. Or an early astronomical observatory. A fucking ancient alien ship, bruh. Let's see if there's anything else of note, though. Again, I want to know the details. Basically, they surmise that based on what the tablet suggests and what recent mineral tests have confirmed, there was probably an asteroid that struck around this time. Around, what time was it again? It was like 13,000 years ago. So around that time, there was a big fucking asteroid that killed a whole bunch of animal life and wiped out some ancient human tribes as well, which is, again, kind of the idea here. And maybe this was one of them, and this is the only record of it, so certainly interesting. But unless they try to bring back an ancient Babylonian god, I'm sorry, Sumerian, not Babylonian, big difference, I don't think that there's any real cause for concern. Do you agree?
I would say so. You know, as long as Gozer never shows up, that's never a fun time.
Yeah, I would have to agree. All right, here we go. Do you want to know about an outlandish surgeon who aims to perform the first head transplant? Just gave a rat a second head. And there's a picture. Do you want to see that?
Hell yeah.
All right, I knew you would. Here you go. All right, so here we go. This is by Aaron Brodwin. I don't know if we've ever... I don't know what they're about. Italian... let's go to the full article right away, as opposed to waiting. Italian neurosurgeon Sergio Canavero. Oh, I take the rat. I put another hair on top of its head. It's very fun. You don't agree? Made headlines around the world 2 years ago with the bold claim that he would soon be stitching one person's head onto another's body. This has been a thing that's been talked about for a long time. There's footage I've seen of like in the 70s. There was an experiment. They took one monkey's head and put it on another monkey's body, and it survived for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So this has been done before, but this is another level. Obviously, this is one head on another.
I love the geekiness of this article. An outlandish surgeon.
Despite the numerous obstacles Canavero faces from ethical and scientific standpoints, he appears to be moving full steam ahead. Last year, he performed what he called a proof of concept, he put that in quotes, procedure in which he severed a dog's spinal cord, then reconnected it. My God. One of the major obstacles to completing the procedure in people. Yeah, again, that's pushing some lines. You need volunteers, right?
Yeah, definitely volunteers.
Dylan, your audio sucks right now. What's going on over there?
The audio's bad?
Yeah, it's super scratchy, and I can hear like something kind of tugging on like a weird scratchiness going in and out.
I don't know.
Take your microphone in and put it back. Pull it out and put it back in.
How's that?
The same. All right. Well, hopefully it'll get better. We'll see how we go. And now Canavero has published another equally repellent study that details how he and another surgeon, Xiaoping Ren. So now we've got presumably some kind of other race in the mix here. I don't know. They don't say the race here. Sounds vaguely Asian. I'm gonna guess. Uh, they attached the head of a mouse to the body of a rat. Okay, so that's what they did. They took the tiny head of a mouse and they put it on the big body of a rat. Wow. So that's what's going on in that picture. Hot damn.
I thought they just used two differently sized mice.
That's what I thought. I thought it was like a baby and an adult or something. Or I didn't know what to think. The team then repeated the procedure in several other animals, effectively creating a series of two-headed rats. Most of the animals in Canavero's studies lived for only several days. Okay. The two-headed rats carried on for an average of 36 hours, and Canavero hasn't released details on the dog, whose spinal cord he detached. What did he do to the dog again? Oh, and then he reconnected it. So he didn't talk about what happened to the dog, though. All right, that's interesting. But keeping them alive wasn't Canavero's goal. Oh, all right. Instead, he says each experiment is meant to stand as evidence that a complete procedure in people is on the horizon. I think keeping them alive is part of that, buddy. Right? Like, if you're going to...
I just don't think he's reached the point where he can do that yet. It's more so about figuring out the mechanics of how to do it. And then you worry about whether or not you can keep somebody alive.
Right, obviously, but I'm just saying that he's acting like that doesn't matter. And I'm like, it totally does. That totally makes a statement on how you're going to move forward. Like, that's kind of the whole point, no?
I mean, there's no point doing a surgery if your patient dies before they can pay.
That's the whole point here. Like, you got to get the money so you can get the pussy and the drugs. That's what life and doctordom is about.
Wow, you put a lot of emphasis on the drugs. I feel that.
The far-fetched idea that has been explored by several scientists and mostly noble aims, such as saving the lives of people with deadly diseases like spinal muscular atrophy, but experts say there are many reasons to be doubtful. These papers do not support moving forward in humans. Case Western Reserve University neuroscientist Jerry Silver told New Scientist last year about Canavero's dog paper. Here are the 5 major obstacles a stressful head transplant would face. Heads can't stay alive on their own. In any transplant, the donor organ, the one that has been taken from a donor's body, has to be kept alive until it can be placed into the recipient's body. As soon as an organ is removed from a body, it begins to die. So doctors cool down the organ to help reduce the amount of energy its cells need to stay alive. Using a solution of cold salt water, saline, they can preserve kidneys for 48 hours, livers for 24 hours, and hearts for about 5 to 10 hours. Wow, hearts can even be... I guess that makes sense. It's more about the body. So you can keep somebody alive... Yeah, you can keep somebody alive on life support without a heart for how long?
I mean, as long as you keep the blood pumping.
Yeah, if you have a machine doing what the heart's supposed to do, I guess you're good, right?
Theoretically, you can keep them alive as long as you need to. It's more so about getting the heart to them before the heart expires. Because sometimes they have to, transport these hearts from, across the country. But because they're, frozen, they can keep them alive long enough for it to work,
Right. But a head isn't an isolated organ. It's one of the most complex parts of the body. In addition to housing your brain, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and skin, it holds 2 gland systems, the pituitary, which controls the hormones that circulate throughout the body, and the salivary, which produces saliva. Wow, I never could have guessed that on my own. Could you?
No, obviously.
More than a century of disturbing animal research has shown, that's underlined, by the way, in the article, has shown that at the moment of decapitation, blood pressure in the head drops dramatically. The resulting loss of fresh blood and oxygen pushes the brain into a coma, soon followed by death. In the most recent mouse procedure, Canavero and his team claim they addressed this problem by keeping a steady blood supply flowing between the rodent who received the head, the rodent who donated it, and a third rodent. There's a picture of that as well. Blood supply, donor, recipient. Oh, boy.
First of all, this is kind of annoying me. Clearly, the author does not approve of these experiments. But you're writing a fucking science article. Can we stay a little professional, for fuck's sake?
Yeah, well, I remember IFL Science is mostly a blog site, so there is definitely a bias that exists in the writing. It's more about the fucked up nature of the stories that they offer that we're interested in. Uh, but the immune system has to be coaxed into accepting a foreign head. In any transplant, one of the main issues is the reaction of a patient's own body. I feel like I'm getting a medical lecture here, which is kind of good.
Yeah, that's a big thing. There's all kinds of examples, even in transplants that we do often. There's always the possibility that the patient's body will reject the new organ.
Right. The immune system of the person receiving the organ detects immune-triggering substance called antigens on the cells of the new organ. These antigens doesn't match those found in their own body, which can lead to the immune system unleashing a full-scale attack. So it thinks it's like an illness or whatever, some kind of thing that's bad for the body. That's why almost all transplant patients take immune-suppressing drugs after their procedures. Because the head is so complex and includes so many organs, the risk of rejection is much higher. The surgery has to happen in under an hour. In a 1970s experiment, this is the one I was talking about, that would never be allowed today. Neurosurgeon Robert White transplanted the head of a monkey onto the body of a donor monkey. He maintained the monkey bodies by cooling them to about 59 degrees Fahrenheit for the duration of the procedure. The monkey with the transplanted head survived for 8 days after the surgery, until the immune system rejected the head. Hot damn, 8 days! According to White's experiments in Canavero's paper, the entire transplant surgery has to be done in under an hour. Canavero notes that both heads would have to be removed from their bodies at the same time. Working swiftly, the surgeons would have to reattach the head of the person they want to keep alive to the circulatory system of the donor's body while both bodies are under total cardiac arrest. Huh. So you have to keep them in a state of that? I guess you would, right?
Well, I think it's going into cardiac arrest because you just got your fucking head cut off and there's a lot of blood loss going on.
Right. And your heart's like, oh my god, what's going on?
Yeah.
Spinal...
We're dying, aren't we?
Oh my god, are we fucking giving up? Are we going up to the big light in the sky finally? Are we giving up on this charade?
Thank God.
This has been fucking bullshit, guys. The human heart has a voice finally. You're damn fucking right, finally. I have to put up with all your shit. All your dumb, stupid fucking blood and everything, and then I get blamed for all the emotional crap. Oh, it doesn't feel right in my heart. Well, you know what? Nothing feels right to me. All I ever do is get your bullshit grease-filled blood, you fat fucks. Obviously,
stop eating all the bacon.
Obviously,
please.
Obviously, an American heart.
Yeah,
truly the most stressed of all hearts.
I get it. You like bacon. Please, though, take a breather.
So anyway, the way it boils down is it looks like the procedures are going ahead in other countries where it's legal. It's obviously not happening in the U.S. Because this is illegal in the U.S. So they're gonna carry on elsewhere. Dylan, how do you feel about that? Do you approve of the head transplant experiments? Do you think that we should be knocking on that door? Do you think the cruelty that's involved is worth it?
Hell yeah! I mean, if they can perfect it, I think it's incredibly. It's an incredibly long shot, but if we ever reach the point where we can, fucking transplant heads, that would be fucking amazing. I mean,
yeah, it is a Frankenstein thing to me where I'm like, if you think you can do that, I think, yeah, you should look into the things involved. It's also just, yes, it's horrible, and we all acknowledge that, but it's more so the experience of doing it, like what you learn from that. Like that's, like the fact that it's not done often is obviously value in and of itself.
Exactly.
And if you look at these mice in these pictures, they are doped the fuck up. Like, that's very clear.
Right.
So I don't think they're feeling much pain. I don't think you'd want them to. Like that would make the surgery harder. So again, not fun. I mean, not fun. Not like great for everybody involved. But definitely the potential here, incredible. The likelihood, though, how do you feel about that?
Like I said, I think it's a long shot, but I think it's worth the shot though.
So what
At the same
diseases are
time,
we curing here? What do you think?
well, if you've got
I think it
a thing,
depends. If it's a hormone-based disease, obviously not. Not that's out right away. Brain-based disease, no. It's got to be something like they mentioned spinal cord. I guess if you have an injury,
you could
um,
have like bodies like fucked up and mangled, and then
cerebral
somebody else.
palsy. I get no, that wouldn't work. It would because that goes up into the brain as well. No.
I think so. But if your body got fucked up, like say you were like you were fucking paralyzed,
Mm.
or maybe not paralyzed, maybe something happened and you lost your legs. You lost your legs in the war, but then they're like, oh well, this other guy just died. We can put your head on his body, and then you'd have legs. Plus, he had a bigger penis than you, so that works out. You'd be like, all right,
Yeah. So for somebody who was in an accident or it was like a post, anything that like you were born with, any kind of disease you were born with, I don't think this is gonna fix because that's all up in the brain and the glands and the hormones and everything, right?
right.
So, I think this is again, this would mostly be for people who going through accidents and trauma such as that. But anyway, so why don't we move on?
This will also allow the super rich to extend their vampiric lives by placing their heads upon the bodies of the young.
Would that work?
Uh,
No, because your brain would still. That wouldn't fix your brain from dying.
no, but you'd be able to move around a lot easier.
Wouldn't I don't I see I think that the old head like wouldn't the old head like make the young body shit? Or do you think
No,
it would
why
be
would
the
that happen?
opposite? I don't know. I don't know
It's more
which force would be stronger.
the younger body is automatically going to be better because it's fucking younger. The cells are stronger. They haven't. What happens as you age is the reason your body gets fucked up from age is because your cells are constantly reproducing and copying your DNA, and they keep making mistakes. They're super inefficient, and these mistakes just pile up over time.
So do you think the head would
Uh,
get younger?
I don't think the head would get younger, but you would have a younger body.
That'd be an odd combination, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but
Would you want to look like that?
I mean, the benefits would outweigh the looking like that. I think.
Well, you're a bold man. You're very courageous. I can't wait to see you try this out for yourself. But
Well,
Dylan, let's
I'm a wrinkled up old head on a young body. I can run marathons though.
I'm horrible and make children cry when they look at me, but I get around.
I got great lungs.
My heart, oh, doesn't bitch and moan. It's just always like, oh my god, what an absolute joy to be alive. What an absolute delight. Oh, oh, it's just really sad now. It's just a pussy. It's not sadness. They're tears of joy. It's just really sensitive and kind of prissy. I didn't want that. I didn't want to get a prissy heart. Anyway, so Dylan, do you want to find out that why time travel is possible thanks to a new study?
Sure.
That's always your response. I love it. A weird elephantine. Oh, this is all about Doctor Who. I don't want to hear that part. Robin Andrews again returns. Apparently, he's a big Whovian. So here we go. We present, this is from the paper that proposes this, we present geometry which has been designed to fit a layperson's description of a time machine. It is a box which allows those within it to travel backwards and forwards through time and space as interpreted by an external observer. That certainly sounds like a time machine to us, and fans of Doctor Who will notice that the study's title, Traversable Accusable Retrograde Domain in Space-Time, can be acronized to TARDIS, the very name of the Time Lord's own time machine. How wonderfully geeky. I wonder if that was intentional. I mean, I guess it was, right?
I would assume so, but I don't know.
So what do the pair of mathematicians from the University of British... Oh, they're Canadian. So one of them is from the University of British Columbia, and one of them is from the University of Maryland. Maryland. Oh, so it's an American and a Canadian. So one of them's like, "Oh, we're gonna work together on our Doctor Who paper, aren't we?" Yeah, I guess.
Please stop calling it a Doctor Who paper.
Oh no, but I love Doctor Who. It's a Doctor Who paper. Look, I drew the TARDIS on the paper. Don't you think the Academy will love it?
Damn it, Gary! This is serious scientific investigation.
Listen, Glenn, just because this is serious scientific study doesn't mean we can't have a little fun. I think that you should inject a little levity into every situation in life. That's the only way to live.
These are names now, Gary and Glenn.
That's our names, Gary and Glenn. We're the dynamic duo of this here. Where are we again? Time Machine University.
Could have been worse. Could have been fucking Steve.
Fucking Steve. Fucking Steve is right. As a Canadian, I mostly make it my position in life to not hate anybody. I love most people, but anybody named Steve, how do you not strangle them on a just daily basis? And you don't murder them because you want to wake up the next day and be able to strangle them again. But you don't. But you gotta give it your goal. You gotta give it your all.
I mean, have you met Steve though? This guy, this piece of shit.
Fucking Steve, right? All right. So, do you want to know what they propose makes time travel possible?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it has been suggested before. Time machines will need to be able to warp the fabric of space-time itself. In this sense, it's best to think of space-time as a unifying point for all these physical dimensions. 3 physical dimensions: width, height, depth, and time. So there's a fourth one. Time only appears to go forwards to us thanks to a quirk of the decidedly pesky second law of thermodynamics. And fuck, I'm gonna find out what that means. Say if you're...
Is that the one that's like? Is that the one that's like? Ordered systems will always tend towards chaos over time.
Hang on, I'm getting the full article as opposed to looking at different pages. All right, here I'm looking at it now. However, the warping of space-time does appear to do some rather curious things to time. If you place a huge mass on it, it forms a huge gravitational well, and time does slow down considerably within this well. Time still ticks onwards, though, forever. It won't go backwards. For that to happen, you need to invoke a little bit of the theories of special and general relativity. Say you're in a TARDIS-like box, and you want to go back in time. Outside of the box, there happens to be a clock that's ticking onwards. That will be our reference frame, something that will be measuring our journey in time and space against. Now, if you continually accelerate forwards, this time will appear normal to you inside the box. But outside it, something strange will begin to happen. As the light emerging from the clock and entering your eye will take increasingly longer to get there, the length of each second will increase for you, but not for the clock. Time slows down for you, but to you, it looks like time is speeding up on the clock outside the TARDIS. So you age slower, and when you stop the TARDIS's movement, it will have looked like time on the outside has moved on quite considerably. You have traveled into the future. That's time dilation, as described by special relativity. That's more of like a time machine, H.G. Wells type of thing, right?
Yeah.
What this paper adds is a general relativity feature. By moving faster than light in a bubble of space-time around in a circle, you will eventually catch up with your own TARDIS. When the future time machine meets the one ahead of it, which is in the past, you will be able to see the past and future at the same time, and choose which point to stop and get off at. What? As space-time can be described entirely mathematically, this means that this type of TARDIS is entirely possible. For it to happen in real life, however, the researchers note that we'd need some extremely exotic materials, as of yet undiscovered or unforged. So, you see what he's saying?
Yeah, I think so.
By moving faster than light in a bubble of space-time, around in a circle, you'll eventually catch up with yourself. When the future time machine meets the one ahead, which is in the past, you will be able to see the past and future at the same time, and choose which point to stop and get off at. I don't know if I fully understand it. So I'm looking at, there's a diagram here as well. Do you want me to send you this so you can see the diagram?
I think because you're going around in a circle and you're moving at the speed of light, it's like when when something is moving in a circle so quickly that you can't even see it move anymore, and it just kind of becomes a circle. You know what I mean?
Sure, like when you do it with a sparkler.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the idea.
But
because you're moving in a
how are
circle.
you? How does that give you control over traveling into the past and future? Either direction you look in. Oh no, I guess you would be able to. If you look to the left, you would see the past, and if you look to the right, you would see the future. Right?
I think that's supposed to be the idea. Yeah.
Oh, because okay. So based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like you're kind of turned into a clock, and when you get back to the top at 12, you get to choose if you go back counterclockwise, or forwards clockwise. I don't understand how you make that choice still. Like, what you're able to do then I guess you formed that bubble then, that energy. So you constantly have that as reference. So you would have to be able to merge with the past version of yourself, though, I guess, right?
I suppose.
You have to be able. You wouldn't like collide and not explode. I guess that's why you need the exotic materials. So when you encounter the past version of yourself, you're like, oh, all right. Well, now we're the same person, so we're done with that. It would be weird. It would certainly be an off-putting way to travel in time. No.
Certainly.
How would you feel if you like went back in time and saw yourself? Like, let's say like a weird alien came down and was like, I'm going to send you back in time 10 years to your own childhood, and you just hung out with yourself 10 years ago. How would you feel about that?
I mean, that'd be fine, I guess.
That'd be fine. You wouldn't be weirded out by it?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I don't see why though. I mean, I know what I look like. It's not exactly
Not that
a
you don't know what
surprise.
you look like. It's that you're looking at yourself on the outside. I want you to think about this. You only ever see what you really look like in pictures and stuff, because when you look in a mirror or like water or reflection of anything, you're always seeing like this weird distorted version of yourself. You never really know what you look like. I think that would be incredibly bizarre and disconcerting to see from the outside. Now, maybe it's helped by the fact that you're younger than you are now, so you look and act a little different. Do you think it would be weirder if it was like if you went back in time 5 minutes and you saw yourself 5 minutes ago? Do you think that would be weirder?
Then we have to answer the age-old question of, if you travel back in time by 5 minutes and have sex with yourself, is it gay or is it masturbation?
Yes. What do you think on that? If you went back in time 5 minutes and fucked yourself 5 minutes ago?
I mean,
On
technically,
the one hand, you were a man and you were having sex with another man, another male form. So yes, it's homosexuality.
but it's also technically masturbation.
Because you are both people. Although on the other hand, it's not you. It's another body that was you 5 minutes ago in a situation that you were not in. See, this is the other question. Were you fucked by you from 5 minutes from now?
That's an interesting question, isn't it? It depends on how the mechanics of time travel
Is it
actually
fucking
work.
rape? Like, do you just show up and just you're like, get down?
Would you then create an alternate timeline in which your past self remembers being raped by you and you don't? Or would it be more of the type of time
Why
travel
wouldn't you
where you're
remember?
written...
You're the one who did it. Maybe the past version of forgets and then decides to do it
I'm saying
themselves.
you don't have a memory of being raped by or not being raped.
Oh.
You don't have a memory of having sex with an older version of yourself, because it basically I'm asking, would this operate under Trunks rules or Terminator rules?
I don't know. I don't have the proper variables to make a determination. Uh, all right, so here's another article that we can definitely dig into. Japanese researchers plan to drill in the Earth's mantle. You ready for this?
Hell yeah.
I think this is by Fresh Blood. This is Alfredo Carpinetti. His picture makes him look a little disconcerting. He looks kind of like the pretentious art student who might kill everybody in your class, you know? Japan is starting an expedition to reach a place no human has ever witnessed, although we stand firmly above it. The Earth's mantle. Japan's Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology, JAMSTEC, as it's known, plans to drill through 6 kilometers, 3.7 miles, of oceanic crust to reach the mantle for the first time. A team of researchers from JAMSTEC will conduct a preliminary study in the waters of Hawaii in September. There are still issues to be resolved. Shall I do an accent? There are still issues to be resolved. Particularly the cost. This is Suzimo Umino, a professor at Kanazawa University, who specializes in petrology, told the Japan News. However, the preliminary study will be a big step forward for this project to enter a new stage. The project is estimated to cost $540 million, although I don't know if that's yen or American dollars. It doesn't say. I guess it's supposedly supposed to be American dollars. And will be carried out by Chikuyo, a flagship Japanese deep-sea drilling vessel. The researchers hope to start the mission in the early 2020s, or by 2030 at the very latest. So they're planning ahead, aren't they?
Right.
Two other...
But why do you want to get to the mantle, though? It's just lava.
It's to do it. Get new elements.
You know what you're going to find down there? Fucking lava.
But what if there's rock down there that has the new elements and shit?
I suppose.
What if there's life down there?
Life down there?
Yeah, I don't. Nobody's ever been there. Who knows?
The only life we've ever found that exists in even remotely that hot of a place is like microbial life. So I don't imagine you'd find anything larger than a germ.
That'd still be something living in the Earth's mantle life. Wouldn't you like to find out what kind of life is going on in the mantle of the Earth? Like, you know, like what's going on under that mantle that the Earth never cleans? Like it always forgets that it's there? I certainly would.
Maybe. This could be interesting.
2 other sites are also being considered. One off the coast of Mexico and one off the coast of Costa Rica. Is this still JAMSTEC, though, or is this some other country? The oceanic crust is much thinner than the continental crust, which is on average around 20 kilometers, 12.4 miles. The newly announced project is just one of many so far unsuccessful attempts at reaching the mantle, with both seabeds and lands drilled. The deepest we have ever got was the Kola Super Deep borehole, which reached 12,262 meters, over 40,000 feet. Due to lack of funding, the project and the site was abandoned in 2008. So I guess they could have gone deeper if they would have had the money. A mixture of high costs and limited technology has hindered previous missions, but the JAMSTEC team believe the technology is now right to bore through the crust and reach the mantle. What we know of the Earth's interior was learned indirectly through earthquakes. Even magma from volcanoes doesn't provide pure samples of the mantle, as it's all mixed up with molten crust. Drilling provides the unique chance to study the composition of the mantle as it truly is. With that, we could hopefully clarify some unclear points of plate tectonics and maybe even understand how our planet formed. So, that's the benefit there. What do you think, Dylan? Would you want to be on the journey to the center of the Earth crew?
No, but I would definitely like to read about what they find later.
Yeah, because it sounds hot. I don't want to be in that kind of heat. Is it a waste of money, do you think?
I mean, it might be. It just depends on what they find. If you're right and they stumble upon some crazy shit, like some new element or some sort of extremophile microbial life forms, then obviously that would be a huge discovery. But if it's just fucking Ah, there's some lava down here. Then, then, whoop-de-doo.
All right, well, I've got two more articles for you. One paleontological, and then one killer whale based. So we've got two classic DFOS staples here for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
Giant ancient skull unearthed in Alaska may have once belonged to a king bear. Speaking of kaiju-based shit, this is fucking Polaris, son.
Yes, I remember seeing this as well. I think I shared this too. I don't remember though.
It doesn't say on my Facebook thing here. I'm sending it to you again though, just so you can look at the pretty pictures. And by pretty pictures, I mean there's a picture of a bear and there's a picture of the skull, and it's pretty big. It's not. I mean, it's bigger than a normal bear skull, but it's only by a considerable amount. In the far north, let me get to the full article. Oh no, this is the full article. In the far north of Alaska, archaeologists have unearthed the skull of a beast that may explain indigenous stories of king bears. Oh my god, this is so Godzilla. Ancient mythology mixing in with prehistoric life. By the way, this article is by Josh Davis. He's got big dogs on his picture. The cranium, found protruding out of an eroding cliff, once belonged to a polar bear, but one bigger than anything usually seen today. Reported on website Western Digs, which is a badass sounding name for a fucking club. The bear skull measures roughly 40 centimeters, 16 inches from the nose to the back of the cranium. And while the researchers don't know what its exact size was, it likely would have been huge. The animal or others of its ilk, so they've only had the skull, they don't know how big the actual bear was, may have once inspired the tales of giant 12-foot polar bears stalking the ice that are still told in some native communities to this day. Yet there are aspects of this massive find that don't quite fit with most modern bears found today. So, point being, these could have been the bears that people were talking about when they're like, there's fucking 15-foot bear monsters out there. I wonder if they look different from polar bears though. Like, did they look? Were they a different color? Did they have a different build? You know. The front part of the skull, from roughly the eyes forward, is like that of typical polar bears. Dr. Ann Jensen told Western Digs. The back part of the skull is notably longer than other bear skulls to which we were able to compare it. I can see that in the picture here. One of those skulls was from quite a large bear, and the front part of the two skulls were not that different in length, but the back parts were strikingly different. The find, uncovered in 2014 at a site called Wallapaka, has been dated to be around 1,300 years old. Wow. And so has been dubbed the Old One by the archaeologists. It displays an unusually elongated back of the skull, which was so strangely narrow and strikingly different to typical modern-day bears. The odd-shaped skull was then compared to over 300 other polar bear skulls at the University of Alaska's Museum of the North. Interestingly, they found a few others in the collection that also showed comparable differences in the shape of the cranium. This suggests that the skull of the Old One may not be as unique as first thought, but that there may be a previously unrecognized subspecies of polar bear treading across the tundra. So,
Yep, that is a great name for like a fucking novel. The Skull of the Old One.
Oh my god, that is a badass name. Jensen even believes that there are certainly other bears the size of the Old One still out there, citing accounts of massive polar bears by indigenous groups recorded by ethnographers, particularly from the Inuviat of the Northwestern Territories who talk of weasel bears, and the people of St. Lawrence Island in the Bering Strait who recount tales of king bears. But interestingly, in the region where the skull was found, no stories of giant bears remain. The plan now is to do some DNA testing on the skull to see how it compares with modern bears, as well as analyze the giant bear's teeth for any clues to its origin. Pretty badass, right?
Very interesting.
Classic monster movie shit. So, these things could still be out there in some capacity. Which is fucking cool. I hope they are, and fucking out there fucking shit up. So onto another Arctic predator. Dylan, orcapod in Monterey Bay go on gray whale killing spree. Now, there are other orca whale goings-on that are in the news right now. In California as well, there is just in South Africa. South Africa. There is a mass murder of great white sharks going on at the hands of killer whales, and nobody knows why.
Yes, I recall seeing something about that. So this is a different incident?
Yep. The last week has seen a pod of orcas going on something of a killing spree. This is also by Josh Davis. A pod of 9 orcas in Monterey Bay off California have seemingly perfected the technique of killing gray whales as they migrate up the eastern coast, with one failed attempt even caught on camera in amazing footage from a drone. I'm watching that footage. There's a whole bunch of killer whales. Oh, I see the gray whales too. Man, the size difference is scary. It looks like monsters fighting. It really does. Over 8 days, the orca successfully killed 4 gray whale calves, something that marine biologist Nancy Black from Monterey Bay Whale Watch says she's never seen in the 30 years she has been observing the whales. In one attack, 33 orcas... Oh, wow. Look at her. Look at them fighting back. They said this was failed, too. So I'm wondering why the orcas gave up. Because it looks like if they just would have kept at it, I mean, the mother would have been like, oh my god, I can't even breathe anymore. There's a lot of orcas, too. Like, you're watching the video, right?
Yeah.
The core pod of 9 whales took just 20 minutes to kill an infant calf, much faster than the hours it usually takes. Oh, wow, that was a big move. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's...
It just lunged out of the water. Man, you don't really get a scale until it comes out of the water more. Like when you see the back of the tail, and ooh, one of the orcas got the baby, I think. Yeah, oh, it's they said they were failed, but it looks like it succeeded in the end. Every year, gray whales migrate up and down the east coast of North America in what is thought to be the longest known migration of any mammal. The leviathans spend much of those summer months feeding in the Bering Strait off the coast of Alaska. When the ice starts to form, they start their 20,000-kilometer migration south to the breeding grounds in the warm waters off the Baja California peninsula. Here, the whales mate and the females give birth. They then have to steel themselves for a treacherous swim back to Alaska. The exhausted female whales, which have not fed since the previous season, now return with infant in tow, and the orcas know this. They wait at strategic locations along the coastline. Again, Planet of the Apes, son. Planet of the Orcas. Monterey Bay being one such place for the migration to begin. This year, however, the migration has been late to start. It's because of this Black suggests that the orcas have been getting anxious or impatient as they have been waiting for the mothers and calves to pass through Monterey Bay. They're like, come on, guys! We're waiting to kill you! Hurry up! This could help explain why this particular pod of orcas suddenly started the spate of quick killings. Hunting gray whales, I mean, they're great because they're fighting off orcas and shit, son, is dangerous. The mothers will fight viciously to protect their calves, trying to keep the infant on their backs and out of harm's way, while at the same time swinging their tail to try and hit the orcas. The orcas, in turn, try and distract the mothers by working in a pack to nip and bite her, while others in the pod work on separating the calf from the mother. If this is achieved, the odds are not good for the infant as the orcas hold them down or drown them. While the risks are great, the rewards are massive for the orcas, with a gray whale calf providing plenty of food, which orcapods share with every member, regardless of whether they helped in the hunt or not. So, they're fucking looking out for you, man. There's no need for food stamps in the orca world. So, what do you think, D?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you think? Do you approve?
I mean, I guess.
Do you
The orcas want to... if they want to kill some fucking uh, gray whales, then more power to them.
Here's what I want to ask you: Isn't I just find it so fucked up that they are the just the apex predator of the ocean. Nothing is above a killer whale. Like they
Why
just they do whatever they want.
why is that fucked up? Why do
I
you
don't
find that
know,
weird?
because they're mammals, they're dolphins, they're whales, they're whatever. They're not, in my head, they're just not traditionally what you would imagine to be the apex ocean predator. I mean, don't you agree? You imagine that to be the great white shark or like a giant squid or I don't know.
Hmm. Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it only makes sense that mammals would have conquered the ocean just as they did land.
That's true. That's true. So in this epoch, just as we have, the apes have conquered the fucking land, the cetaceans have conquered the ocean. Those are your whales
the,
and dolphins and all that.
the only thing the only thing that we have not conquered in the traditional sense is the sky. That is that's where the dinosaurs fled to. We we took all the rest of the shit.
Bats are the only mammals that fly. So yeah, they don't count. Yeah, fuck bats.
Although you could consider the fact that we've now invented flying machines to be us conquering the sky. So in a way, the mammals have really just we run this shit.
Here's my question to you: If you're in a tank with a killer whale and a great white shark, which one are you more afraid of?
Killer whale and a great white shark.
Because that's the thing.
Huh.
I would be if I looked at a great white, I would be like, "Fuck that." But if I saw a killer whale, I'd be like, "Oh, all right."
That might be a false instinct. Because most sharks typically
Don't bite people like that. Yeah. But
they aren't really man.
a killer whale might, on territory's terms, be like, "Fuck off." Because the killer whale is
Yeah.
already going to be agitated because the shark is there already. So, killer whales will kill a shark even if they're not going to eat it because it's a territorial threat. It's another big predator. I mean, if they leave it, it'll do damage to them. So, what would you
Right.
do? What would you do? Let's say you're in like a big SeaWorld-esque kind of pool, but you're blocked off from the sides. Your only goal is to swim either past them, go under them, above them, and go to the other side of the pool where there's an opening, or you work with what you got. They're there. Do you flee to one?
Hmm. You could somehow get them to fight each other.
Well,
Then you could slip by.
I think they would inherently, don't you?
Probably. Now, if there's a great white shark around, the killer whale's probably going to see that as a better meal than a person.
Right? Yeah. Well, again, if the killer whale attacks you, it's probably not going to try to eat you. It probably just wants
No.
you out of the water.
They'll just be floating around the next day naked on its back.
Yeah, maimed. Well, all right, Dylan. I do believe. Well, again, you didn't answer the question. So which one? Which one are you more afraid of?
I think I did answer the question. I think the killer whale is probably, despite the initial reaction that most people might have, the killer whale might actually be it would probably be more terrifying, because, again, great white sharks typically aren't man-eaters by nature, with exception, and a killer whale, on the other hand, being a mammal, has a lot more territorial instinct going on than a big fish does. So I think the odds of being attacked by the whale are higher than the great white shark. However, obviously, they're both not great situations to be in. So
Yeah. I definitely don't think the shark would attack you in that situation because I think the shark would be like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck,"
right.
Because I've heard one thing where if you're being attacked by a shark, if you can somehow yank the tail, that'll instantly make it let you go because it's gonna think it's being eaten by a whale.
Huh, interesting. I've also heard go for the eyes.
Well, that's obvious, yeah, because I mean that they they won't attack prey that they think is going to fuck up their eyes because they need them. If they don't have their eyes, they're fucked. They're going to die. That's a survival thing that they need. But the gills as well attack anything they need and they won't like it. That's the idea. It's it's like me and my weed. You attack what you need, and then that's how you knock a person down. That's how you one up somebody. But all right, Dylan. I think that's enough science for one day. That's enough advancements for one scientific endeavor. What do you think?
I think so.
All right, so that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Demons from Outer Space. So we hope you enjoyed. We hope you learned something. Next time, we're going to be doing a review of the Incredible Hulk TV pilot from the 1970s. I think it came out in 78. I'll double check that, though, before we do it next time. So get ready for that. And then that's kind of in our line of doing franchises that one of us is more familiar with than the other. Marvel-wise, Dylan is more familiar with X-Men, whereas I'm more familiar with the Incredible Hulk. So I'm going to be Dylan's guide through the world of the Hulk, just as he was for me with the X-Men.
Well, I think it's more accurate to say you're more familiar with the Incredible Hulk television series. I know Comic Hulk, but I haven't seen much of the show.
All right, fair enough. There you go. So fucking specify all you want, son. More importantly, I know more than you do. So we'll outline that next week. Until then, I'm Bill Worster, aka Zazubar.
And I'm Super Game 64.
You can't see us because it's a podcast. I mean, what did you expect?